Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Howdy, y'all. Red O'Loughlin here. We're on the second of my 3 shows back to back to back today. It's called The Wise Ones. As you can tell by the wise owls behind me there on the banner. When I'm not doing TV shows, I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. And the cause is still there and could get worse. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. Here in about an hour, in fact, a little less than an hour, I'll be starting another show called Talking Heads. And on that show, today's topic is on neuropathy. What are the causes of it? What can you do about it? But today, I have an old friend joining me, and Chef Ricki Mckenna. It used to be a USA Global TV host on her own show, in her own kitchen at home, showing us how to cook. She's an author. She's a business owner. She's just a marvelous person. I love chatting with her all the time. Anyway, Ricki, please join me up here on stage.
Yay. Thank you, Red. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Glad to be here.
Well, here used to be here in Houston, but you're now up in the high country. Where are you at now?
Yes. And the light you see coming in from the window is from the sunshine and the blue skies of Colorado.
Well, I wish you the best up there. I know it's a little bit of an ordeal to make everything happen, but you know, you never know where you're going to be in 5 years. So enjoy every minute you have.
Absolutely. That's kind of my philosophy. Live every day to the fullest and eat right while you're doing it.
Well, I'm almost at 90 hours on my current fast, so I haven't been eating for a while.
Ooh, I hope you're drinking enough good water.
Well, I have some water here that has microplastics in it that I use sparingly. I have canned water, liquid death that I otherwise drink. And then I have my 6 teas here that I keep myself hydrated. But it's an interesting evolution to go into a prolonged fast, but there's just so many benefits from it. And it is what it is. I do this every month, and it's sometimes doesn't get to 72 hours. It's rare, but sometimes, I think a couple of months ago, I only made 60 something. I'm sure I'll be over 90 today without a problem. I have a dinner I'm going to tonight at a friend's house. And so I know that that's going to shut everything down, right?
Well, yeah. And remember to eat sparingly, please, on your empty tummy, so you don't all of a sudden develop something called indigestion.
Well, I talked to my wife about that already. She's going to be monitoring me just to make sure. So, okay, well, why don't we start off on the nutrition end of things? What got you into nutrition?
Oh, gosh. Well, I had 2 kids a long time ago, and I started reading a lot more about nutrition, about food, and I started looking at what was happening to our food industry as well. And that was almost 30 years ago, actually, probably more than that. And I thought, this packaged stuff is just, it tastes okay, but the fresh food tastes a lot better. So I started reading. And then I said, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to become a nutritionist or a dietitian or something, so that I can help myself and my family first. And they were pretty healthy at that point. But also, how can I help other people understand what food is and what does for them? That's how it started. And I love to cook. And I had my late husband love to cook. My kids love to cook. They are incredible chefs now. We're a family of food. So I got started that way a long time ago, and I've continued, and I continue to read. There's always, as in many industries, there's always something new that comes out every other week. And so you have to keep up with these things. But a lot of it is common sense and understanding that your body is a natural miracle, and you have to feed it well and maintain it so that it maintains you. And I recognized just recently, interestingly, a lot of people over 50, 60, 70, and even 80 are either single, widowed, or divorced, and they are facing nutritional challenges. And sometimes these challenges lead to really poor choices, food choices that are harmful and toxic rather than good for them. And it worsens conditions, and like diabetes and high blood pressure. It's rampant now. And I just read a statistic recently, I think the last week read, that cancer has now taken over as the leading cause of death in the United States rather than heart attacks. And that is really frightening. And I think you and I both have an inkling of why there's so many. We're living in a toxic soup, something that's been coined years ago. And I want to help people understand that food helps them to combat this toxic soup. And as a healthy 81-year young person, a certified nutritionist, and I've got almost 30 years of experience now, I've helped clients reduce symptoms and eliminate medications using food. You can tell, I think that I'm a little bit passionate about this and providing tips and hacks for them to prepare fresh food and ditch the packaged foods. That's a mouthful, I know. Look, you're muted, Red.
Thank you. Yes, it's interesting because the thing that keeps us there is our comfort zone is usually food. And that's also the thing that destroys our health if we're not making wise healthy decisions.
Yep.
So I have a comfort zone that I retreat to because of the stresses of the world and who knows what's going on. There's just a lot of things out there. Yet when I want something, it's that popcorn or a Butterfinger or a Coke or who knows what, pecan pie. It doesn't matter. Yeah, a little bit is fine. A sliver here, there, and yonder is not bad. Yeah. But that sliver becomes 5 or 6 slivers. But you can't eat just one, as that marketing commercial goes.
Right.
And it's a reason why, because that taste in our mouth is so good that it's actually engineered to make you want to take that second taste.
Bingo.
And those taste things that make it that way are toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, the industry has developed so many products under different names. I think there's something at this point like 35 different names for sugar.
I think more than that.
The last time I looked, I think that's whatever. But there are other things. And interestingly, I went to buy a drink that I thought was healthful. And I looked at the ingredients, and this third or fourth was high fructose corn syrup. And I said, high fructose corn syrup. And the guy behind the counter said, yeah, it's in everything. So people are becoming more aware. That is one of the cheapest, least satisfying products that have been developed to sweeten foods. I'm using monk fruit and I think it's erythritol and monk fruit.
Allulose?
Yeah. which is a sugar alcohol, but it is. I made some muffins the other day that my neighbors are asking for more, and Richard keeps eating them, so I have to make some more.
Yeah, I make apple strudel and things. I use allulose rather than sugar.
Yes.
And they have
Yes.
a brown allulose, which makes it nice.
Ooh, I didn't know there was
My
one.
wife, yesterday I was coming
Okay.
home, and she texted me that she hadn't had pancakes in forever, and just had this real yearning for pancakes.
Okay.
And she made one. I mean, that's fine. But she didn't have any syrup. So I stopped by, and as I'm looking at all the different, I do a lot of label reading.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
right
do I.
down, big letters, no high fructose corn syrup. That's,
Yeah, but
that's kind of an interesting marketing tool. I'd never seen that one before.
yeah, what else is in it though?
I looked at what was there, and I was not, it's like the Mexican Coca-Colas. They have sugar. They don't have the high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
But they taste a whole lot more like the old Cokes did back when we were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I learned last night, I was doing some research for some other things. I'm looking at Dr. Eric Berg, and he's talking about prolonged fasting and the benefits. And one of the ones he says, okay, after day 2, you're blah, 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 blah. But the thing was, he says, you're not eating food, but you're eating your fat.
Right.
He says, and that's why your hunger goes away after 2 days, because you're not hungry, because the body's being supplied by a different source. And I started thinking about that the first 5-10 pounds is water loss, because that's just the way the body stores things.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at a prolonged fast after that, the inches start going away because you're burning that fat. So you're really eating a different meal than what you're typically prepare.
Your body takes over. And when you give it a chance to do that, it actually helps cleanse as well as reducing the fat content in your system. So that's one of the best things about fasting. And it's interesting when I look at something like the keto diet. I think that's what inspired the keto diet, because there's a lot of fat consumed, but it's good fats like avocados and nuts and MCT oil, which is actually coconut oil, medium chain triglycerides. But those are the fats that actually feed your brain as well as the rest of your body. And your body uses fat for energy rather than using the carbohydrates and the sugar, because all sugars are carbohydrates. Some are complex carbohydrates, like the sugars in vegetables, which are natural. But then you get all the other stuff that's sweetened, and like breads and baked goods and so forth. There are ways to bake things using almond flour, coconut flour. There's even garbanzo bean flour. A lot of different alternatives to wheat, rye, and barley, and the flours, mostly wheat. So exchanging those, this is what I recommend to people: exchange those other things and try some of the new things like almond flour. I use almost exclusively almond and coconut flours for baking. If I bake, I don't do a lot of baking. But the other things that I do is use fresh food a lot. Very few canned goods, something like canned organic peas, or a vegetable like tomatoes. Those are usually processed minimally, if at all, and look for the ones that aren't processed at all. And you can also find the low potassium tomatoes that are processed in cans or packaged in cans. And I don't recommend packaged foods a lot, but canned vegetables, yes, once in a while. Not the fruits so much, because the fruits are usually packed in syrup. If you can find the fruits packed in their own juice or in water, fine. But the vegetables, they're packaged usually at the peak of their ripeness. So those are really good. Next to fresh, the second thing is actually frozen, because those are also frozen at their peak of ripeness. But the canned, if you're really in a bind, and I used some the other day, I made a soup. I made what I call my garbage soup. I had a piece of sirloin steak that I cut up into little pieces. I had you're going to love this, Red. I bought at one of the farmers markets up here, I bought red and white daikon radishes. And the greens were absolutely beautiful. You could have planted them in your garden. They were so pretty. So I took the greens, chopped them up, put them in there. I put in some filtered water. I made some broth. I had made some broth a few days before that, using, again, the radish greens. I know it sounds weird, but they're delicious. And they add a piquancy to the soup, to the broth, that is absolutely wonderful. And I put in every leftover vegetable that I had. So it had, I think there was a potato. There was one potato. It went into the soup. I put in the beef. Actually, I had browned it a little bit before in just a touch of olive oil and cut that up. And I started throwing in everything. There was, I think I had a small piece of jicama left. So I chopped that up, put it in the soup. And just whatever I found in the refrigerator. Oh, and I had juiced some carrots. So I took the carrot pulp, basically, which is like shredding carrots, and I put about a cup of that into the soup. And I had at least a quart of filtered water in there, in addition to the broth that I had made. And I had about a quart of broth. And soup, I kept adding things. And Richard said, man, this is delicious. I cooked it overnight in the crock pot and just let it sit and absorb all the flavors. I did put in some fresh garlic, chopped up some garlic, as well as, I think I added some black pepper. And then I had some rosemary from the garden that had dried. So I just crushed that, put it in the soup, and wonderful soup. Since it's October and things are supposed to get cooler. Up here it's cooler. I don't know about Houston, but basically in this hemisphere, the weather has started to turn colder, which is delightful as far as I'm concerned. And the soups, any kind of soups, anything warm and thick with vegetables and a little bit of meat to give it some flavor, it was absolutely marvelous. And it's something that I recommend. And the thing is, it was something like this. You can also take it if you make a big pot full, you can freeze it. And I freeze in glass jars if I can, but leave at least 1.5 inches at the top of the jar for the soup to expand once it freezes. I learned the hard way years ago. Don't fill it all away.
You mentioned a ketogenic diet, which is mostly protein and fat.
And fats, yeah.
And there's a couple issues there that I think from an educational perspective, we need to be aware of. Number one, you want to keep your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio less than 4:1. You start getting over 4:1 omega-6s, which are your vegetable oils, and then you start having an inflammatory effect in the body, which is not good. But
True.
More importantly, and I went on Atkins and I was under 10 grams of carbs a day for years. And I just thought it was the best thing in the world. I had wonderful time eating, but I'd go down, I was living in Germany, and I would go down to Italy for a weekend and pig out on pasta and bread and stuff. I'd gain 12 pounds, come back, and 2 weeks later, I'm back where I was. And that's the water weight gain.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize there's an insidious nature of that, because when you're eating more protein and carbs, when you're eating more protein and fats and carbs, your body becomes acidic. The entire, and your bloodstream wants to maintain a certain level of acidity. Actually, it's alkalinity, because it's just barely over 7.4. And of course, I didn't know this. And all of a sudden, the bloodstream starts leaching calcium out of the bones.
Ooh.
And if you living decade after decade, and you're meat and potatoes guy, then all of a sudden, your old age, your brittle bones, and there's not much you can do about it. But when I started looking at it, the whole purpose is to get calcium into the bones. There's a really simple, easy way to do it. But on an Atkins diet, they don't tell you that. I've looked at quite a few books to see, have they ever realized that? They haven't. But if I'm eating a lot of fat and protein, I need to be taking a lot of vegetables, green vegetables, colored fruits and vegetables, because I need the alkalinity from those fruits and vegetables to overbalance the acidity of the proteins and fats. And so I ended up in what they call acidosis,
Oh,
where
no.
my body is leaching calcium from the osteopenia, I think is what they called it when I had a bone density scan. But these are things, and then once you get the calcium into the bones, it comes out easily because of the pH factor. So it takes a while to get it in, but it's a different set of rules to get it out. And so there's just a lot of things there with ketogenic diets you got to be careful with.
Well, see, this is where I say I don't propose diets for people. I propose lifestyle change, looking at what you're doing. And as I said years ago, if I ever had a tattoo on my head, it would be the yin yang for balance. And balance is the key to the whole thing. You have to balance not only your work, your life, and so forth, but in balancing the carbs, the proteins, the fats. And what people don't really understand is those good fats actually feed your brain. Your brain is 65% fat. And so when you're on a ketogenic diet, you have to, I think it was, I'm going to segue here a second. I think it was Dr. Hyman, Mark Hyman, who proposed something like it was a combination of paleo and keto or something like that, that actually was far more balanced than either one or the other. So this is something when I'm working with people that I propose that you've got to have fats, and we'll figure out what fats you really love and figure out what really works for you as an individual, because everybody's biochemically different. And so with dieting, fasting is good because it clears everything, but only to a certain point. And then I think you need to start putting things back in with broths and, gently feeding your body, because the only place in your body that really should be acidic, as you know, Red, is your stomach. That's where everything gets the digestion. The hydrochloric acid is part of it. And that's where when people say to me, well, I'm on Tums, I got Richard off Tums years ago. And it was very simple because I was feeding him fresh food and more balanced meals. And if anything decided to become a little bit off, if he went out for a pizza or something like that, I handed him some crystallized ginger. Ginger is an incredible, marvelous herb. And ginger is one of the best things for indigestion or that queasy feeling that you have. Just suck on or chew on a couple of pieces of crystallized ginger. And in most cases, it will alleviate the problem. But the balance of what you're talking about, the carbs, and your fats and balanced meals. And I'm a proponent of like 3/4 of those vegetables, red, green, yellow, purple, whatever colors, and 1/4 protein. I'm still for that.
Ricki, we're going to have to interrupt now and go to station break. We have a commercial break here shortly. When we come back, we'll continue down the same thing. And I want to be able to have you show the audience your book. So we'll
great.
For that.
Thank you. Okay.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Brett O'Loughlin here, back with the Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My guest today is Chef Ricki Mckenna. Please join me back up here on stage, Ricki.
Absolutely. Thank you, Red. Happy to be-
Before we move to your book, which I promise we get right after the deal, right after the break, two real quick thoughts on you're talking about finding something, and you were saying it was low in potassium. Yet
Mhm.
98% of Americans are low in potassium. It seems to be one of those ones that's just incredibly deficient all the way across. I know I try to take extra supplements of that. It's just very difficult to reach the minimum standard. It used to be 4,700 milligrams. I think now it's around 3,400 for men, a little less for women. But potassium is one of those ones that almost everyone is deficient in. Second item, real quick, you talked about stomach acid, and you're absolutely right. That Tums will neutralize things, but we do the same thing inadvertently when we're eating a meal. We'll have water or wine or tea or something, and we're diluting the stomach acid. So the stomach acid, when we're eating, should be as fully concentrated as it can be, because we get older, it's not as well maintained. So I usually don't drink anything for 30 minutes prior and 30 minutes after eating, just to make sure that my stomach acid is available for the digestive work it needs to do. Yes, every so often there's something dry and you need just a little sip of something.
Sure.
But you don't need to down 2 glasses of wine with your meal just because it's there. And like balance, you don't need to balance the white with the red along with the bourbon and the vodka.
And I'll put the bourbon in the pumpkin pie. But here's another hint about eating. In the order of food, if you'll eat your fruit first, like a fruit cup or a piece of fruit prior to a meal, instead of having it for dessert, you'll find that your digestive system works a little bit better, because fruit digests, like that. It digests much faster than most of the other food that we're eating. For example, at Thanksgiving's the perfect example of a meal where everybody just gorges themselves and has a wonderful time. And that's great, except for all the things like the turkey with the tryptophan and then the fruit afterwards. If you eat your fruit first, it will can't get the word digest out today. It will digest faster than anything else, so that when you pile the other pieces of food on top of it, they have time to digest in their own way. So that's a hint. I have several people who came to me and said, what are you eating? When are you eating that fruit? As dessert. Okay, have it first. Make a fruit cocktail. I remember those as a kid. But anyway, that's another hint. So that's one thing. But this is ye old book. I don't know if it's backwards or forwards.
No, I can read it fine.
Okay, because to me it's backwards. But it is, yes, you can eat well and eat right, and find that joy of cooking. And it's not just a cookbook, as you well know, Red. Red was kind enough to help me put this together as my publisher, and I really appreciate him for that, along with all the information that I learned from him. It is more than a cookbook because I put nutritional information in it. I put in information for kids, how to make some vegetable and fruit animals to decorate the table. And then, of course, the kids can eat them as well. But it contains a lot of nutritional information. Aha. And that's where you can find it on my website at rickyskitchen.net.
Would you hold the book up one more time, because I want people to see the
Sure.
binding?
Oh, this is very important. Thank you, Red. The book is available on Amazon, and you're certainly welcome to purchase it there. But for the same price, or actually at a little discount, I have spiralized it so that when you're cooking something, let's see if I can find a picture here. We have pictures, and here we go. Speaking of tomatoes and potassium, this is much easier to work with because, for one thing, it's large print for those of us who are a little bit need a little help with reading sometimes. And it is also easier to find the things that you're looking for. I want to show you something else I've done in this book that most cookbooks don't have. There are pages for notes. So when you have a recipe and I'm recommending this, or you want to use something else, fine, put your notes in here. So it's way more than a cookbook. It's an educational cookbook. If that means anything to anybody, it's a lot of fun too, because there's some great recipes, over 30 recipes in it. But again, there's a lot of information for people to guide. One of the things I do as a nutritionist is guide people. And I can be your kind of by your side guide, as a friend of mine says, and help you to understand what foods to use for you that are healthy for you, and also what foods you can substitute. I have several people who don't use shrimp. So instead of shrimp, we substitute something else like a codfish or a different kind of fish that will work the same way in the recipe. So I'm happy to help people understand how they can use food to really prepare fresh food that helps your body to work well enough to eliminate or at least reduce some of your medications. And I've been on a path, this path for 25, a little more than 25 years, because Richard, God bless him, was on a cholesterol medication for I don't know how long prior to our getting together. He is now off of it. He was on a thyroid medication, doesn't need it anymore because he's eating properly and he's exercising. Movement is also part of your health. And I am totally passionate about this because I want people to understand their bodies can heal themselves with food. And as you well know, Red, there are ways to do that that are not hurtful, harmful. It's just a little bit of change. And remember, change is not a 4-letter word.
How do people get your book? How do they get in touch with you?
Okay.
And so
They can call me. I will answer the phone. Actually, texting is even better at 970-618-7607 and put the word kitsch in your text or kitchen, something like that. So I know that what you're doing. And the rickiskitchen.net, it's all one word, RICKIS kitchen.net. And you'll find the book on, as well as some other products that I recommend because they're good for your body and good for your system. Calling me is fine and texting me is fine. And as I said, rickiskitchen.net, you can email me. When you go to my website, there's a place where you can purchase the book or you can just ask for information and I will return your call. There's a calendar in there. You can get a hold of me that way. And if all else fails, call Red on USA Global TV, and he has my number.
Ricki, there's so many other things that I really want to chat about that we don't have the time today, and I wish we did because I love talking about food. I love talking about health and nutrition and wellness and all sorts of stuff. So thank you so very, very much for your time today, and we will connect again here in the not too distant future. Worst case next year, but that's just the way things go. But anyway, thank you again so very, very much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you and your show. And as far as wise ones, I guess the fact that I'm somewhere at 81. Whoa, hello, but. My wisdom is available to you and your viewers, and I am not kidding, but it's a pleasure to be on here. And we always have a good time, Red.
Yeah.
And Red's one heck of a good cook, by the way, just FYI.
And everybody's a little different, but the basic nutrition essentially works the same. You may have to tweak it a little bit, but it basically works the same. And as Ricki talked about, her husband, Richard, you can get off medicines, but you have to know how to do it. So I'm going to say goodbye to you for today, and I look forward to our next conversation, whether it's on the phone, a Zoom meeting, or who knows what. We'll see each other here very shortly.
Yes. Bye for now.
Take care. This is concluding today's show on the Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I'm Red O'Laughlin. My last show of the day comes up here in literally about 18 minutes, and it's called Talking Heads. I'll be talking about neuralgia. Not neuralgia, neuropathy. Start the same way, So neuropathy, talking about the causes of it, what you can expect, and the natural options that you could do yourself. And so if you can, please take a minute or two, join me live here in a few minutes, or go to YouTube and catch us on the archives. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Which of these 5 statements sounds mostly like you? 1. I often wake up in the middle of the night worrying about my future. 2. I'm angry or resentful towards a specific person. 3. I have anxious, obsessive, compulsive thoughts throughout the day. 4. I have an addiction like smoking, drinking, shopping, sugar, or social media. And 5, I feel that I'm wasting away my life. Hello, I'm Dr. Alkistis Agio, and for over 25 years, I've been coaching and training people from all over the world to transform their fears, insecurities, anxiety, and anger into mental and emotional freedom. I'm confident that my simple 3-step method based on Greek philosophy can help you to transform into the joyful, confident, free human being that you deserve to be. I want to invite you to join my weekly online coaching group to finally get the results that you want. Look, you've tried it alone so far and you've had some okay results, but let's face it, you're still feeling stuck right now, spinning your wheels. Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, unless you realize this as a fact, that you are a prisoner of your own mind, you can't move forward. I'm here to support you, as well as the whole community that we are co-creating. Stop feeling stuck. Stop feeling depressed. You don't have to do it alone, and alone isn't working anyway. Sign up today, and I'll meet you on the inside of our amazing weekly group call. I guarantee that you'll make progress from the very first session.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.